as in the National Teaching Awards. This is how the presentation should look like. It is not the best, by the way. There are best presentations that have managed to win. This is one of the best presentations that I wish everyone would at least learn from. Your presentation should be precise. It has got my picture here. It is the flag here. I've just put the flag because it represents our nation, that this National Teaching Award takes place in the country. And this was the 23rd. And remember that we are in the 24th Teaching Awards. It should have your name, your district, where you are coming from, and the category is very much important because you are there for a specific category. And then you should have this. These are just nitty-gritties that needs to be put in. If you don't want to, you will just not put them. And you should also have your contact number. This is one of the most important things that we need to do. So with NTA, it has got two categories. The first one is specific category, that which you are choosing or that which you are competing for, and the general. So general means everyone is going to answer from those questions. Okay, so with specific, that is where you are going to show us your abilities, your creativity, and how you are making impact with your innovations in the classroom. Now, the first one, I'm not sure if it's still in the same quarter because this was for last year. It was on teaching and learning strategies that you need to use to identify learners' strengths and weaknesses. So in this one, it is very much important that you need to look at ways in which you are able to identify the strength of your learners and the weaknesses, okay? By applying what? Different strategies. And what are those strategies that you have applied? This is what you need to look at. This is what I'm using. I am using baseline assessment strategy. And I have indicated as to when, beginning of the year, the reason. You also should tell them the reason why you are doing this. To check prior knowledge of the learners, to identify the gaps, and to also support learners' progress. Because in this regard, you are able to look at what is needed for your learners to improve. It's a strategy by them that you are employing. Again, how do you do it? Pen and paper test. So I've been trying to be inclusive of all the nitty-gritties that this question requires one to answer from. Alright, another one. The pre-assessment strategy that you are using to check. Remember, we are checking what? Learner strength and weaknesses. Those are what are important in this question. When do I do this? Before a test. Okay? Why do I do this? Determine knowledge, learners' knowledge, skills, and disposition, where learners do not understand. Another one is to identify areas of improvement. Where can I improve my learners? That is one of the most important things. And then how do you do it? Also, pen and paper, that's more important. Another one, using worksheet assessment strategy. Usually as an English teacher, we are using, in most cases, like when we are doing oral, listening comprehension skills, we are using this strategy. So every English teacher, I believe, uses this. Okay? Now, we identify learners' weaknesses. We check now the previous knowledge of learners, and we also increase learners' desire to learn. Once a learner fills up that form, I'm telling you, they would want to do more after giving them the results. Okay, now, I am also using the presentation assessment strategy. Usually we do this when we do orals in language, prepared reading, and prepared speech. This is one of the most important that needs to be dealt with. And then usually I do this after I presented the lesson the previous day. The following morning when I arrive, I bring one or two of the learners to make presentation of what they have learned yesterday. So the advantage is I'm able to identify the gaps and areas of improvement. Okay. Now another thing that I'm doing is also after the lesson. Once you have taught, if you're not giving them any classes, just pick one learner or two to at least present what you told them. That also helps a lot. Now, let us take sharing their knowledge. You get to understand that learners can present a and teach better than a teacher can do. Now, another thing is you want to figure out what they have learned, especially when after the lesson. Now, the CS policy that I'm using as a guideline. Remember, the CS also is responsible for guiding us on how to treat our learners inclusively. Those who study inclusive education know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you cannot study inclusive education without applying the CS policy. Now, you check what? I use CS policy to check what? On how the barriers could affect the learning process. How do you do it? You screen your learners. You check them on how they perform, on how they learn. You identify their weaknesses. You assess them. And then you give them the support. That is how the CS policy works. Now, this also helps you in doing what? You profile your learners. Mem is here, the one for special school. They profile our learners better than us. If I can ask us who are coming from inclusive school, we do not profile our learners to the best of our abilities. So, but those who are coming from special schools, they are able to profile them. You identify the barriers within, because you are screening, you are identifying, and then you are assessing. Yeah? And then after doing so, it means you will be what? As an educator, you need to be inclusive. Remember, when you are doing this presentation, you need to show us on how you are covering up the sustainable development goal, the SDGs. What answer are you giving to our principles? What answers are you giving to inclusive education? That's what paper number 6 is saying. What answers are you bringing to what paper number 7 on e-learning? So all of this need to be embraced in your presentation. You need to show that you are in line with what the world and what the curriculum is also demanding us to teach our learners with. Thank you. Now, I'm also using learner-centered teaching technique. So with teaching techniques, I've got a STEM projects, although they are being barricaded at present, where my learners, remember this is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through coding, where learners are able to solve problems. They are learning the problem solving skills, so they'll be able to bring solutions to the challenges this country will face in the future. Now, we also do the online games. And why do I do the online games? For critical thinking skills to be enhanced within my learners. So this brings about the practical games. These are practical based games as they are hands-on. Remember, this is learner-centered. You need to show it with your pictures. Now, and in so doing, this learner will get what we call edutainment. They are learning, but at the same time getting entertained. Or what we call funtainment. They are getting learning, but at the same time getting what? Fun. That is what you need to do. You also need to look at when you are preparing your presentation. Now, I also host the visual classroom debate. Remember, this is learner-centered. Visual classroom debate where my learners are debating with learners from elsewhere in the world, from Britain, from India, from Pakistan, from many countries elsewhere in the world. So, with this, my learners are learning what? Communication skills, collaboration skills, critical thinking skills, because they are hands-on. These are learners are doing it themselves. And in so doing, I am also doing what? Virtual consultation, where I bring in an expert, either from university or from another school, to guide and motivate my learners, especially on content that I know that this one is really difficult for me to teach. Then I just invite an expert to come and present it to my learners, and this works wonders. Now, gamification techniques and learning. Now, I'm using quizzes. These are they are more like games when they are learning. With quizzes, it shows what? The performance of your learners at the same time. You don't have to do paperwork on analysis. It just do it automatically for you. Now, by so doing, you are checking what? The gaps in teaching. And with Minecraft that I'm doing with my learners, they are getting fun. They are also very interactive because learners have to work together, collaborating together, and they are able to engage. And once they are working collaboratively, they are engaged, then it means they will do what? They will learn critical thinking skill, they will learn communication skill, they will learn communication etiquette. So those are the most important things in the music. Now, I am also doing what? Collaborating outside the four walls of the classroom. And how do I do that? Through Skype. I'm using Skype in most cases. So this is just a typical example of the Skype sessions where I'm in Tunisia with my learners, in Vietnam, and in Bangladesh. Now, what are learners benefiting from these practical activities that you are giving or that you are telling us you are doing? Learner's voice is prioritized. Remember, this is learner-centered. So once it is learner-centered, you are prioritizing learner's voice. Another one, you increase their participation. You increase what? Teamwork. You also do what? You are ensuring that learning becomes a collective responsibility, a collaborative responsibility. Learning is no longer what passive because these learners are engaged. Now, I'm not sure you just tell me when I'm done because I'm just giving a brief overview of how we start. Now, another one, the question will be on keeping balance between curricular needs and different teaching styles. The question is based on curricular needs and different teaching styles. Now, what teaching style are you applying? Or what teaching methodology are you applying? Well, I'm using what? Multiple intelligence approach. What about it? There are those who learn through doing. Remember, this is multiple teaching approach. You will need to accept that learners learn in different ways and they understand differently. So this also covers what? White paper number 6 on inclusive education. Verbal learning style, where my learners are making presentation, and you also need to show us through what? Pictures. There must be evidence. You don't just present and say, this is what I'm doing. There must be what? Picture that shows that this is the reality of what I'm doing in the classroom. There is also kinesthetic learning style where learners are working hands-on, they work together, especially during the Skype session where we are locating a speaker. And this one is what we call the mystery Skype. We Skype with them before they show this flag, then they have to guess which country they are Skyping from. Then that is where the learners are guessing the continent first, from the continents, then they will have to say north, east, south, west, then after guessing, they will have to identify the particular country with it. And then in so doing, they have to work together. Now, social learning style. This is one of the famous pictures that appeared in the Sun Diary 2021. The learners were reading this book. This social learning style where normally in English this works wonders because you are doing drama with them, you are doing poetry with them. So this is social learning style. But you must also show us the evidence and the picture for that. I can go further. Now, there are those who learn visually. Remember the first one, those who learn through doing, and this one, there are those who learn what? Multiple learning style. Now, with visual learning style and oral learning style, remember, I am using one. Videos from YouTube. Once learners have seen it, they won't forget. Once they have spoken about it or they have heard about it, they won't forget. Once they have spoken about it, they will not forget. Unless otherwise, we just preach the gospel and then leave the classroom. They won't remember anything. So, thank you so much. What are the benefits? It brings about positive learning outcomes. They learn by exploring and experimenting because they are doing it for themselves. This increased participation of learners. This develop what? Different learning skills within our learners, and it also boosts individual performance. Once learners are hands-on, I'm telling you, they will be able to compete with their peers inside the classroom for better performance. Now, this also caters for what? Holistic development and holistic needs of our learners. Now, another one is based on ways of teaching that impact on what? Community beyond and classroom. Impact on community and beyond. Now, my teaching goes beyond the classroom. And how do I do that? Through Skype, my learners are able to practice empathy. And you know, we are notorious of xenophobia in the country. We are notorious of gender-based violence. So once you Skype with learners from elsewhere, this is Vietnam, then they'll be able to practice empathy. And I am answering one. Sustainable development goal number 4, which is quality education. Quality and inclusive education that is equitable and accessible to all indiscriminately. And SDG 17. SDG 17 is saying it's collaboration for all the 17 goals of the United Nations. Now, we are also doing what? Creating project for what? Food security. It is no longer there and you won't find it. We are trying. And in this one, I am doing modern theory. Remember Life of my boss, who says young ones are learning through what the adult is doing. So what an adult is doing, in fact, there is this thing that says, let children see and children do. Once they see you doing it, they'll be able to perform it. And I'm answering what? Sustainable development goal number 1. No to poverty. No to hunger. Number 2. Poverty, number 1. Number 2, hunger. Zero hunger. Zero poverty. Now, I am also what? Answering sustainable development goal number 13 on climate action. What are we doing to sustain our world? So this one that I'm doing, at least this time around, we've managed to, the municipality is providing us with I don't know what they call those big massacre. So they're providing us with them. So we keep all the traces inside so that people won't destroy our environment. We just move further. I am also using the media for teaching and learning. I'm a columnist in Alukoro, India, Immigration Jakarta, where I am writing articles on educational matters. We come either on the 15th of every month or on the 1st of every month. I'm also doing the interviews and everything on radio and television, and also on newspapers, local newspapers. I'm hosting youth seminars with the idea of building our nation. So it means you must go extra mile when you are going to compete for this teaching award. You should know that there are people who are doing extraordinary wonders out there. So you must also make sure that you build them with your extraordinary wonders that you are doing here. Through your effort, this could be possible. Alright. I'm also a panelist in local and international collaboration seminars and webinars. We can move some. These are just examples. Now, how do you keep records of learners' progress and ensuring that they are accessible at any time? This one every teacher will do. Alright? We are doing task files, we are doing teachers' files. You don't have to find it difficult to answer this one. We are also doing manual record keeping every time. But what is so important, we are answering one paper number 7, electronic record keeping on e-education. So this one, which will be distinct from this one, because every teacher does this. Then what is it that you can do different from other teachers? Is that you're also doing what? Electronic record keeping as well. Now, what are the benefits? You provide insight about learners' progress. Remember, this is about record keeping. You are able to reassess the teaching and learning relationship. Did I do it well? If my learners underperform, where can I improve? The result of your record will tell you how far you you went or how far you can improve. Now, you are able to make informed decisions about your learners' needs, the learning needs. Okay, you are able to do what? Maintain accountability. You are able to account as a teacher to say, if these are the records, then when these officials are coming, when the parents are coming, I am able to produce. Another one, you are able to give feedback on learners' progress. What the parents give any feedback about the learners' performance, you are able to say, this is the record. So that also is part of accountability. Thank you so much. Now, how do you involve learners with their own assessment to develop their competencies, skills, attitude, and knowledge? Then, in answering this question, I am doing discussions and interviews where my learners are, this is an expert from somewhere from the University of Stellenbosch in the Faculty of Military Sciences. I'm also doing peer-to-peer with their counterparts. This is the last one from India. And I'm also doing parents and learners assessment. I bring parents here and I talk with parents about learners' progress. And this works wonders as well because the parents think learners are doing better until they meet with you and the learner. So it means education becomes what? A collective responsibility. You tell me when I've exhausted your time. Now, about content presentations, I am making my learners to assume the teaching role, especially before and after the lesson. Now, in other words, I am trying to increase comfort in voluntary participation. Once you are able to identify a learner to say teach, these learners tomorrow will be able to volunteer to speak publicly. And you, in so doing, you are creating what? Leaders of tomorrow. Now, again, you are trying to unlock live participation in classroom discussion. Once this one does better, that one would want to do better than the latter one. And that also increases participation. Now, what are the skills that learners acquired? They acquire leadership skills. Once a learner is presenting here, people, they are able to become, or they see themselves as leaders. So that develops them to become leaders. They are able to collaborate, they are able to relate with others, they are able to communicate, and they are able to interact, to be critical thinkers, because they'll be able, remember, to become critical, you are able to compare two things or three things that are different. You look at the similarities and the difference and then come to the conclusion. That is to be critical. And then you build what? Self-efficacy. Learners are able to say, I can do it. Now, lesson design feedback that is insightful, regular, consistent, and available to everyone. This one looks at what? Feedback. Okay? And then this feedback must be what? Insightful. It must also be what? Regular. It must also be consistent and available in terms of need. So I'm using, these are just tools that I'm using. I'm using Microsoft Teams, WordPress, I've got my blog, I've got the YouTube channel. So now, just go back so that I guide them. In the Microsoft Teams, they are able to submit their assessment activities directly into Teams. So everyone can access them, you are able to access them and give them the responses. You can just see. Now, that timeless feedback on assessment. Remember, it said it should be consistent, it should be what? Accessible at the same time. I'm using the quizzes platform, Google Forms, and evidence. What I like about these tools is that they give you what? The score in percentage. You don't have to do the manual analysis. It gives you automatic feedback. Once you press that button, you submit, then it gives automatic feedback. Another thing, it works automatic analysis and grading. It also does that grading of your learners, the performance of your learners, so that you don't have to do the manual work. It does that automatically. Now, the social media apps, everyone now, I'm quite sure that everyone is acquainted with this. You're able to use your Facebook for learning purposes. You're able to use your WhatsApp for learning purposes. And with this WhatsApp, you should also have learners and parents as well. And create the Facebook pages where you share content every now and then about your activities and the school's activities. Now, what is the impact benefits? Because after everything, you need to show them what you are aiming to achieve. What is it that you are achieving? And then this, when I started this, I on this one, and then I mastered it. I must be honest, I mastered it. So I was advised and then given by advice by Lepumi and Dr. Masani within that group as well. Now, feedback builds what? A sense of embedding. Once it automatically gives them the feedback, then the learners will say, no, I'm becoming well, I'm doing very well. So feedback also does what? It motivates them. Feedback reinforces positive behaviors. It also encourages better performance and assessment tools support independent learning. When you are using this assessment tools at home, these learners are able to learn independently at their own pace and their own time. That is why I am saying it support what? Independent learning. In the future, these learners will be what? Be able to do this work without the assistance of a teacher. Because once the learner is able to perform this, it means you are giving what? The spirit and the sense of autonomy into the learner. Now, I'm also doing my educational tours and career days exhibition. Usually these days we are all about traveling. Here we travel. This is West University. This is the SAPC. So I take it virtually in one of the lessons. I mean one of the programs. And then that military sciences. I took this picture because we are allowed to take this people in the military in their uniform. And I just make sure that I steal this picture to serve as evidence for the NTA presentations. In so doing, I am using virtual trips for career days and exhibitions, online career guidance programs. I'm using augmented apps to travel in different places, such as Teams, Skype, Google Meet, and Zoom. Those are my popular tools that I'm using. Now, I'm also using the permaculture model and Arbor Day celebration model, where we are doing my garden, like I said, to the member side that is no longer there, we are right. And then one of the most important things here, which when you display it, you should explain like this one. This one I learned it from our technical grade in our panel, where we are reprocessing the tire. Remember, in the history, it tells us that in the 80s, 1985, during the state of changes in the country, there was this spirit where people were neglecting our fellow mothers, uncles, and everyone. So, and that which Farouk mentioned, 11 black violence, which was instigated by them. So, in so doing, you should tell them that I am planting vegetables here in order to repurpose them, so that we don't have to use them to, when we are picketing now, they are both learners, they are notorious now when we are picketing. We ban the streets, we ban the schools, we ban everything. So instead of using tires to ban our user-friendly facilities or anything that is so user-friendly to us, let us use them for planting our vegetables. And in so doing, I'm answering SDG 1, no to poverty, no to hunger. Number 3, good health and well-being. In so doing, we are promoting what? Good health. That people should what? Consume vegetables or grain. And then the fourth one is active education. Now, what impact did I do with my green project? My learners are able to have now started their big travel. I don't have garden at school now. It is no longer there, but my learners have taken it into their own houses and in order to benefit from these vegetables. Now, how do you build learners self-esteem and cooperative learning? How do I do that? During the morning devotions, this was the program of 2022. I was running this program. During the morning devotions, we don't do best teachers. We select a learner to run the morning devotions every prayer session. So that also develops critical thinking skills, communication skills, and leadership skills. Now, when we are hosting programs, especially during my programs, I've got an NPO, which is artificial education. I make learners to become what the program directors. You just give them, and then the learners will direct it. And let's also remember how it brings about change in the lives of learners. And we also have to display in competition. Now, I also award excellence and restore learners' dignity. In our learners, I've got, I'm going all out to look for sponsors, so that at the end of every year, we award learners. Independently so, without applying money of the school, I go out there to look for sponsors so that we can motivate and inspire our learners to become better. And in terms of restoring learners' dignity, this one I'm no longer running. I was running the Sunny Tower campaign, wherein, a girl child misses 2 or 3 days every month. If you can add 1, 2 or 3 days every month. So imagine if a learner doesn't have a sanitary towels, this learner will miss the whole 5 days coming to school. So this also brings solution to the absenteeism that is created by lack of sanitary towels. I'm also donating school uniform. By donating school uniform, I'm also going out to seek sponsorship. There are learners who are from families that are not well off. They are unfortunate families. So I go all out to look for sponsors and buy them school uniform. And then this I'm putting back to you to say, go and do these activities so that we'll be able to make or create impact in our society. Now, I'm also having how to build discipline and speaking skills for the future. I've got debating club, I've got a church club, I've got the drama club as well as an English teacher. So this one becomes easy for me because I'm an English teacher. Now, what is the impact? Improve communication, critical thinking skills, and let us perspective change. We are avoiding the danger of the single story that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie pragmatically phrase it. The danger of the single story. Once they interact with one another, we avoid them to think in the same way in many years. Now, they learn communication etiquette, and I think this is just a typical sample of what should be done in the presentation. Now, how do I organize a classroom to enable all learners to be productive and engaged in learning? So now, this goes back to inclusive education. What's paper number 6? Now, you also need to do what? Make sure that learners with disability, those who cannot see very well in our inclusive school, there are those learners who struggle, when they read, they'll be like this, when you teach, they'll be like this. There are those who with auditory problems. Then make sure that you put them in front. The idea is those who cannot see will be able to read from your presentation in the closer view, and those who cannot hear will also hear you in the closer view, hearing as well. And now, once you accommodate all the needs, it means everyone becomes what? Included in your classroom. Your classroom accommodates everyone inclusively. As Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which says, quality education that is inclusive and equitable to everyone indiscriminately. What is the impact? You've identified barrier like the CS policy is saying, and you give them the support they need. You provide learning equally and inclusively. You enhance better performance of your learners. You improve participation and value diversity. By keeping those who cannot hear from hind seat to before seat, it means you acknowledge and embrace diversity. That in my classroom, there is those who cannot see very well, there are those who cannot hear very well. Therefore, I am embracing them and including them in my lesson. Now, what about teaching strategies that are replicable and scalable to influence education globally? Your activities, your strategies should be what? Should be able to influence what is happening elsewhere in the world. I am using what? Technology in the classroom. Answer to white paper number 7. I am using learner-centered teaching strategy, which is also what? Part of including my learners or everyone in my classroom being inclusive. I am using gamification, through what I showed you, through quizzes, platforms, and the likes. I am also using or having classroom in the sky through Skype. Now, this is evidence of technology. This is just evidence. I'm using the Masweneng app, the Google Meet, the Virtuality app. This is Will Computer from Poland. You can just look. Now, learners learning from their peers through debates. This, I've just mentioned this in the previous slide. This is the evidence of those activities where learners are developing their collaboration skills, their communication skills, and their competency skills is also enhanced. I mobilize e-learning and the impact. I promote the 21st century skills, promote virtual classroom, promote distance education, stimulate ICT culture, and promote hybrid or blended learning environment. This is what I am trying to make impact on. Now, how do you apply self-monitoring tools and policies? Item analysis, you demand them every often. And after every activity, you need to itemize your learner's performance. And also the general analysis. You can please just picture of the evidence. You do the lesson plannings, you follow the CAPS document, you have your own timetable, you can move further. Now, what are the benefits of monitoring tools? Enhance adequate progress, improving item needed, obtain positive information, and as such provide content provides guidance on implementation of these policies. Now, this general criteria for everyone. So meaning that this question, the questions from this criteria are answered by all the NTA participants, equally so. Now, contribution to the ethos and morale of the school. Now, continue professional development activities which have a positive impact on classroom activities. In what I'm saying now, I am making sure that you are learning and taking this into your classroom. Now, how do I do this? I am collaborating for sustainable development goals from goal number 1 up until goal number 17. I am hosting webinars on e-education. I am also invited in numerous webinars. I'm also the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert and Trainer. I'm not only the expert, I'm also providing training. Every Tuesday I am training educators in Kenya every 7 o'clock in the evening. This is just an example where I was speaking and motivating European educators on a global education network platform. I'm also invited for ICT webinars with locals and the international ones. This is the same as the collaborations for Zipuza.net and the 21st Century Digital Skills Lab Table show where I am sharing my skills on ICT integration and the likes. The impact, you enforce greater responsibility. Remember, after every presentation, you must also tell us the impact. That is very much important. You can make your presentation, but if you don't tell them the impact, there's no value. So impact is what the value of what you are doing. You enforce greater responsibility, you adapt to changing learning needs. You do what? Deliver content better, you enhance hybrid learning, and you address the needs of learners inclusively. Now, the mitigation ways and new methodologies responding to the COVID-19, this was part of the last day's question. I'm not sure if it's still there. I was doing these things before the COVID-19, so before the recovery. So this is one of the most pleasing moments that I look back and reveal to myself to say, you did it and you can do it more and better than this. I infused better learning and methodology, where during the COVID-19 I was meeting with my class virtually, teaching them virtually. So in other words, I injected technology into my lessons. I was using virtual classroom and remote teaching as ways of mitigating the COVID-19. I shared my lessons on Microsoft Teams and YouTube. My lessons are available. You can also tell your learners to go to follow me on YouTube. You can also follow me as teacher so that you can check on how I present and then teach my lessons as well. Thank you. I'm also using digital assessment tools. And look at this one. It is organized. You organize it, where you distribute it, and then it must be what? Where you are able to collect the assignment and the learning material. So these platforms are there.
You organize your classroom, you distribute your content, and you collect the responses of your learners as learning materials. So this one instill what? The culture of ICT integration for the future. We can move further. What is the impact? Give learners autonomy, evolve your learners, you provide digital experience to your learners, you revolutionize technology because we are in the fourth industrial revolution. You maximize learners' outcome. Once learners are involved in these platforms, they get to be what? They get willing to improve every now and then. So you cultivate what? Critical thinking skills within your learners. Now, future-focused education. Future-focused education, which is we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, the fourth industrial revolution, 4IR skills and competency in my teaching to prepare what? Learners for the future. What ways are you doing to prepare your learners for the future? I am doing coding and I am answering it, okay? When they code, they generate what? Creativity, to become creative. They are able to solve problems. They are able to be what? Apply critical thinking skills. Now, when we do this, they get what? The cutting edge use of technology. They are able to get hands-on and understand how technology works for them. Thank you. When we Zoom, we develop what? Collaboration skills and communication skills. Now, and then through virtual field trips, mystery Skypes and the likes, they are what? So I am trying to do what? Develop problem solving skills and decision making skills. So now this is every technological, the every technological tools are engaging and they spark learners to be what? More creative. Now, how do I help learners to become global citizens? Through Skype, they learn more about what? State symbols, we scan classroom from elsewhere, like this one, it's Ukraine. They also learn about the capital cities. They also learn about the most important days, like the Independence Days and the likes. Now they also learn about dress code, cuisines, and the national flag. This is Vietnam, where they were learning about the dress code in Vietnam. This is the food, the cuisines in Ukraine, and this is the national flags from Tunisia. So this one that's for history learners as well. Now, we also learn history and culture of different languages. This is the Argentina culture where we were hosted. We were hosting a classroom from Argentina. They were learning about Argentina culture, music, and they also were able to learn about the culture and language from Vietnam. So what is important here is the evidence of what you are telling them you are doing in your classroom. Now, I am also involving my learners in the World Building Around Day. Remember that World Building Around Day is what? On the first Wednesday of what? February every year. The first week, on the first Wednesday of the first week of February every year. That is World Building Around Day. Okay? You build connection between what? Spoken and written. This is the picture that is found on the sample diary. You strengthen learners' vocabulary and fluency when they read to their peers, either virtually or physically. Now, okay? And then they develop on high-level thinking and computer science skills when you do coding with your learners. Now, what is important here is that you exchange what? National anthems with other classrooms from elsewhere in the world. This is the national anthem where we are promoting, or I am answering the question of sustainable development goal number 16, which is what? Peace, justice, and strong institutions by sharing our national anthem. Now, what is the impact? You develop mutual respect to say no to xenophobia. We are the leaders of this one, embraces it, spark empathy and diversity within your learners, playing what? The stereotypes. And embrace what? Diversity. And create your learners to be what? Global citizens. That is one of the most important things that we need to do. Now, how do you contribute to core and extracurricular activities in the school community? Now, in terms of curricular activities, I am leading by example. I am using what Live by Cosby say as labeled as bowling theory. I am a soccer coach. But in the soccer coaching, I'm not doing it alone, okay? I'm involving my colleagues in order to do what? Select players who are the best. So in everything that you do, you need to embrace and involve your colleagues. Now, in the sanitary tour campaign, I'm also involving my colleagues as well and learners. Now, during the spelling bee competitions, I'm also involving my colleagues and learners as well. During the